Hey guys, welcome to Zero to Hero. This is an English learning podcast. My name is Kristen. I am your host. How are you doing today? I hope you are having a great day. Today, we have a very special episode. We are going to talk about famous people. You see them on TV, you hear their music, you buy their products. They have a lot of money. They have big houses. They are very successful. But guess what? They were not always rich. In fact, many of them started with nothing. They had zero money. They had zero help. Some of them did not even have a house to sleep in. Today, we will tell you their true stories. These are 100% real stories. Why are we talking about this? Because these stories are motivating. Motivating means they make you want to work hard. They make you feel good. Also, this is a great way to learn English. I will speak slowly. I will use easy words. Everyday, casual American English. Are you ready? Let's dive in. The first story is about the funny man who lived in a van, Jim Carrey. Our first story is about Jim Carrey. Do you know Jim Carrey? He is a very famous actor in Hollywood. He is in funny movies like The Mask, Bruce Almighty, and Dumb and Dumber. His face is very funny. He makes people laugh. But Jim's early life was not funny at all. It was very hard. Jim grew up in Canada. When Jim was 12 years old, his father lost his job. His father was an accountant. Because his dad lost his job, the family had no money. They lost their house. They had nowhere to live. Can you imagine losing your house? Where did they go? They lived in a van. A van is a big car. Jim, his parents, and his brother and sister lived and slept in a big car. They parked the car in different places to sleep. Jim had to help his family. He could not just be a normal kid. After school, Jim went to work. He worked as a janitor. A janitor is a person who cleans buildings. Jim cleaned a big factory. He cleaned floors and toilets. He worked 8 hours a day after school. He was very tired. He was very angry sometimes. But Jim loved comedy. Comedy means funny things. He loved making people laugh. He practiced funny faces in the mirror. When he was a teenager, he went to comedy clubs. A comedy club is a place where people stand on stage and tell jokes. The first time Jim went on stage, he was bad. People did not laugh. They told him to leave. But Jim did not stop. He did not give up. He practiced more. He moved to Los Angeles, California. He wanted to be a star. He was still poor, but he believed in himself. One day, he took a piece of paper. He wrote a fake check to himself. A check is a paper you use to pay money. He wrote the check for $10 million. He wrote for acting services. He put the date for Thanksgiving, 1995. He put this fake check in his wallet. He carried it every day. He worked hard. He got small jobs on TV. Then he got bigger jobs. Finally, in 1994, he got the main role in the movie Dumb and Dumber. Do you know how much money they paid him for that movie? Exactly $10 million. His dream came true. He went from living in a car to being a millionaire. Our second story is about the magic of never giving up. J.K. Rowling. Let's move to our next story. This story is pure magic. Literally, do you know Harry Potter? Yes, the boy wizard with the glasses and the scar on his head. Almost everyone in the world knows Harry Potter. There are books, movies, and even theme parks. The person who created Harry Potter is a woman named J.K. Rowling. Today, she is a billionaire. She has more money than the Queen of England had. But her story started from zero. In the early 1990s, Joanne J.K. Rowling was living in Scotland. Her life was very difficult. She was married, but her marriage was bad. She got a divorce. Now, she was a single mother. A single mother means a mother raising a child without a husband. She had a little baby girl. Joanne had no job. She had no money. She lived in a very small, cold apartment. She had to use government money to buy food. This is called living on welfare. She felt like a failure. She felt sad and depressed. But Joanne loved to write stories. She had an idea about a boy who went to a school for magic. She wanted to write a book about him. Because her apartment was very cold, she took her baby to cafes. A cafe is a small coffee shop. She bought one cheap cup of coffee. She sat at the table for hours. While her baby slept in the stroller, Joanne wrote the book. She wrote it on an old typewriter. A typewriter is an old machine for typing letters on paper. She worked on the book for years. Finally, it was finished. She was so happy. She sent the book to publishers. A publisher is a company that prints and sells books. She waited for a yes, but the answer was no. She sent it to another publisher. No. She sent it again. No. In fact, 12 different publishers said no to Harry Potter. They said the book was too long. They said children would not like it. Most people would stop after 12 no's. But Joanne did not stop. She believed in her story. Finally, a small publishing company in London said yes. They gave her a small amount of money. They printed the book. Guess what? Children loved it. Adults loved it. The book became a giant hit. Then she wrote the second book and the third. Hollywood made the movies. Joanne went from being a poor single mother with no money for heating to one of the most successful writers in human history. The third story is about the coffee king, Howard Schultz. Are you guys enjoying the podcast? Good. Let's keep going. Our third story is about coffee. I love coffee. Do you drink coffee? In the morning. If you drink coffee, you know Starbucks. Starbucks is everywhere. You can find Starbucks in America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. They have thousands of stores. The man who made Starbucks famous is Howard Schultz. Today, he is worth billions of dollars. But he grew up very poor. Howard was born in New York. He lived in Brooklyn. His family lived in public housing. Public housing means very cheap apartments for people who do not have money. The government owns these buildings. Howard's family was very poor. His father was a truck driver. One day, his father had a bad accident at work. He broke his ankle. Because he was hurt, he could not work. In America, at that time, if you didn't work, you didn't get money. And they had no health insurance. Health insurance pays for the doctor. Because they had no insurance, the family had zero money. Howard was a little boy. He saw his father sitting on the couch. His father was sad and broken. Howard saw his family suffer. Suffer means to feel pain or sadness. Howard decided something. He decided he wanted to be successful, so he would never be poor again. Howard worked very hard in school. He was good at sports. He played football. Because he was good at football, he got a scholarship. A scholarship is free money for college. He went to college. He was the first person in his family to go to college. After college, he got a job selling things. One day, he visited a small coffee store in Seattle, Washington. The store was called Starbucks. At that time, Starbucks was very small. It only had a few stores. And they did not sell hot coffee in cups. They only sold coffee beans in bags. You had to take the beans home to make the coffee. Howard started working for this small company. Later, he took a trip to Italy. In Italy, he saw something amazing. He saw espresso bars. People did not just buy coffee, they sat down. They talked to their friends. They listened to music. The coffee shop was a community. Howard came back to America. He told his bosses at Starbucks, "We need to sell hot coffee in cups. We need to make cafes where people can sit and talk." His bosses said, "No, that is a bad idea. We only sell beans." Howard was disappointed, but he didn't quit his dream. He left the company. He started his own small coffee shop. He played Italian music. He sold hot espresso. People loved it. It was very popular. A few years later, the original owners of Starbucks wanted to sell their company. Howard found investors, people with money. He bought Starbucks. He changed the stores. He added tables. He sold hot coffee in cups. He treated his workers very well. He even gave them health insurance because he remembered his poor father. Today, Starbucks is a global empire. Howard Schultz built it from nothing. Our next story is about the TV queen, Oprah Winfrey. Let's talk about a very famous woman. Her name is Oprah Winfrey. In America, we just call her Oprah. Everyone knows her first name. Oprah had a very popular TV talk show. She interviewed presidents, movie stars, and normal people. She gave away free cars to her audience. She is a billionaire. She owns her own TV network. But Oprah has one of the hardest zero to hero stories. Oprah was born in 1954 in a state called Mississippi. Mississippi is in the south of the United States. She was born to a teenage mother. Her mother was very young and not married. Oprah did not live with her mother at first. She lived with her grandmother on a small farm. They were extremely poor. They were so poor that Oprah did not have real clothes. What did she wear? Potatoes come in big, rough bags called sacks. Oprah's grandmother took these potato sacks and made dresses for Oprah. Can you imagine wearing a rough potato sack to school? The other children laughed at her. They made fun of her. Later, Oprah went to live with her mother in a city. Life was still very bad. Oprah suffered a lot of abuse. Abuse means people hurt her very badly. She had a very painful and sad childhood. She ran away from home when she was 13 years old. She was sent to live with her father in Nashville, Tennessee. Her father was very strict. Strict means he had many rules. He told Oprah, "You must read books. You must study." He made her read a book every week and write a report about it. Oprah was very smart. She loved reading. She also had a beautiful voice. She loved to talk. When she was in high school, she got a part-time job reading the news on a local radio station. She was very good at it. Later, she went to college. Then, she got a job on television reading the news. But Oprah was different. Most news reporters are serious. They do not show emotion. But Oprah showed her feelings. If a news story was sad, Oprah cried on TV. If it was funny, she laughed loudly. Her bosses didn't like it. They fired her from the news. They said she was too emotional. They put her on a daytime talk show. A talk show is where people just sit and chat. This was perfect for Oprah. She loved talking to people. She listened to them. She cared about them. The people at home watching TV loved her. She was real. She was honest. The TV show became very popular. Soon, it was called The Oprah Winfrey Show. It became the #1 talk show in America for 25 years. She started with potato sack dresses. Now, she wears the best clothes in the world and gives millions of dollars to help poor children. Our fifth story is about the strongest man, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Wow, Oprah's story is amazing. But wait until you hear this next one. I'll be back. Do you know that line? It is from the movie The Terminator. The actor is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold is famous for 3 things. Number 1, he is a famous bodybuilder. He has giant muscles. Number 2, He is a famous Hollywood action star. Number 3, he was the governor of California. That is a big political job. He is very rich and successful in America, but he is not from America. Arnold was born in a very small village in Austria in 1947. This was right after World War II. Europe was destroyed. Austria was very poor. Arnold's family had no money. Their house was very basic. Listen to this. Their house had no telephone, it had no refrigerator to keep food cold, and it had no toilet inside the house. If you needed to use the bathroom, you had to walk outside, in the cold and snow. His father was the local police chief, but he didn't make much money. His father was very tough. He wanted Arnold to play soccer or join the military, but Arnold had a different dream. He saw pictures of strong men in magazines. He wanted to go to America. He wanted to be the strongest man in the world. He started lifting weights. A weight is a heavy piece of metal. Lifting weights makes your muscles big. Arnold worked out every single day. He worked out for hours. His parents thought he was crazy. His friends laughed at him. Why are you lifting heavy things? It makes no sense. But Arnold had a goal. He entered bodybuilding competitions. He won. He became Mr. Universe at age 20. He was the youngest winner ever. Because he won, he got a ticket to America. He arrived in America with a gym bag and very little money. He did not speak English well. He wanted to be an actor. He went to Hollywood. The people in Hollywood laughed at him. They said, "Arnold, your body is too big. You look like a monster. Your name is too long and too hard to say, and your accent is terrible. No one can understand you." They told him to give up. They said he would never be a star. What did Arnold do? Did he cry and go back to Austria? No, he took English classes. He took acting classes. He worked on his accent. Slowly, he got small parts in movies. Because he was so big, people liked watching him. Then, he got the movie Conan the Barbarian. Then, he got The Terminator. The movie director of The Terminator said, "Arnold's accent makes the movie perfect. He sounds like a machine." The thing people laughed at made him famous. Arnold worked hard, believed in himself, and built an amazing life. Our next story is about the boy with the guitar, Ed Sheeran. Are you guys ready for some music? Let's talk about Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran is a famous pop singer from the UK. He sings beautiful love songs like Perfect and Thinking Out Loud. He sells millions of concert tickets. He plays the guitar. Ed is super famous today. But his road to success was lonely and cold. When Ed was a teenager, he knew he wanted to play music. He dropped out of school. Drop out means to stop going to school before you finish. He left his hometown and moved to London. He wanted to find a record deal, but London is very expensive. Ed had almost no money. He had a backpack and his acoustic guitar. That was it. Because he couldn't pay for rent, Ed became homeless. He had no house. Where did he sleep? He slept on the trains. In London, there is an underground train system called the Tube. Ed rode the Circle Line. The Circle Line is a train that just goes in a circle all night. Ed got on the train, sat in the corner, and slept while the train moved around the city. Sometimes he slept outside. There is a famous palace in London called Buckingham Palace. The king lives there. There is a heating arch outside the palace. It blows warm air. Ed Sheeran actually slept outside there to stay warm in the winter. During the day, Ed played his guitar anywhere he could. He played on the streets. People threw coins into his guitar case. He played in small, dark bars. Sometimes only 3 or 4 people were in the bar, but he sang with all his heart. He played over 300 shows in 1 year. That is almost one show every single day. He was tired, hungry, and homeless. He started putting videos of himself singing on a website called YouTube. He recorded his own songs and sold cheap CDs from his backpack. Slowly, people on the internet started watching his videos. They liked his voice. He had red hair and wore casual clothes. He looked like a normal guy, but he sang like an angel. One day, a famous musician named Jamie Foxx saw him. Jamie invited Ed to sing in America. Then, the superstar Elton John heard Ed's music. Elton John helped him get a real record contract. Today, Ed Sheeran doesn't sleep on trains. He owns big houses, but he still wears casual clothes and he still plays that same acoustic guitar. The next story is about the late bloomer, Colonel Sanders. For our final story today, we are going to talk about a man who proves it is never too late to succeed. Do you like fried chicken? If you do, you probably know KFC. KFC stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken. When you look at a KFC restaurant, you see a logo. The logo is a drawing of an old man. He has white hair, a white beard, glasses, and a white suit. That man is real. His name was Harland Sanders. People called him Colonel Sanders. Many successful people get rich when they are young. They are 20 or 30 years old, but not Colonel Sanders. His story is different. Sanders had a very hard life. His father died when he was young. He had to cook for his little brother and sister. He dropped out of school when he was 12 years old. He tried many, many jobs. He worked on a farm. He painted carriages. He worked on the railroad. He sold insurance. He sold tires. He failed at almost everything. He was fired from many jobs. When he was 40 years old, he started cooking chicken for people at a gas station. People liked his chicken. He had a secret recipe. A recipe is the instructions for cooking food. His recipe used 11 secret herbs and spices. He opened a small restaurant. It did well for a little while, but then a new highway was built. The new road went around his town. No cars drove past his restaurant anymore. He lost all his customers. He had to close his business. He was 65 years old. He was old, tired, and broke. The government sent him a check for $105 a month to live on. That is very little money. He felt like a complete failure. He thought his life was over. But he sat under a tree and thought. "What am I good at?" he asked himself. "I am good at cooking chicken," he answered. He didn't give up. He took his secret spices and put them in his car. He drove across America. He drove from town to town. He walked into restaurants. He said to the restaurant owners, "I have the best chicken recipe in the world. Let me cook it for you. If your customers like it, you can sell it and pay me a small piece of the money." Can you guess what they said? They said, "No, get out of here. Old man in a white suit. We don't want your chicken." Sanders went to the next restaurant. "No." The next one. "No." He slept in the back of his car. He ate his own leftover chicken. He was 65 years old, sleeping in a car. Do you know how many times people told him no? 1,009 times? 1,009 people rejected his chicken, but he knocked on the 1,010th door. The owner tasted the chicken. He smiled. "This is delicious," he said. "Yes, I will sell it." That was the beginning of Kentucky Fried Chicken. The business grew fast. Soon, hundreds of restaurants were selling his chicken. When he was 73 years old, he sold his KFC company for $2 million, which was a lot of money back then. He became a millionaire and the famous face of a global brand. He proved that you are never too old to start from zero. Let's think about what we learned today. Jim Carrey lived in a van, but he kept his sense of humor. J.K. Rowling was a poor single mother, but she kept writing her magic book. Howard Schultz grew up in public housing, but he built a coffee empire. Oprah wore potato sacks, but she became the queen of TV. Arnold Schwarzenegger had no toilet in his house, but he became the strongest star in Hollywood. Ed Sheeran slept on trains, but he kept playing his guitar. And Colonel Sanders heard no over 1,000 times, but he never gave up. If you are learning English right now, maybe it feels hard. Maybe you want to give up. Sometimes the words are difficult. Sometimes the grammar makes no sense. But remember these stories. You are starting from zero with your English. But if you practice every day, if you don't give up, you will become a hero. You will speak perfectly. Thank you so much for listening to Zero to Hero. I am Kristen. Please subscribe to the podcast. Share it with your friends who are learning English and practice speaking these words today. Have a wonderful day. Keep working hard, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.